Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Puck Time. We are here to break down the small but hopefully profitable NHL betting slate. I am Andrew McInnis, and filling in for Carmine Bianco, we have Mr. Brian Leonard. Brian has had success for many, many years in the NHL, and he's doing it once again this year. So we got him always ready in the bullpen. I wouldn't even say bullpen. You're a starting pitcher here, Brian, on Puck Time. We're seeing you multiple times a week here on the show. So looking forward to a great show. Multiple games worth getting to. I believe we just left one game off the show, and that was the game with the most juice. So today, Rangers at Lightning, Oilers at Flyers, and the New Jersey Devils visiting the Chicago Blackhawks in Chi-Town. Brian, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's good to see you. And I like your background. That's nice. I've got a lot of stuff like that. I probably need to put that up instead of the books, but yeah, that's a nice background.
Thank you. You know, funny story behind that is that I've had it for a couple of weeks, and everyone kept on joking around. Like Carmine was like, "Dude, looks like you're in a jail cell. You've got just like the most boring your wall background." And I've been trying to mix things up, and I wouldn't say I'm like an overall stubborn person, but I'm not really a handy guy by any means, but I don't like to ask for help with stuff. And this actually used to have like glass on it, but now the glass, I was trying to set it up and I dropped it and the glass sort of shattered. So it was kind of just sitting there for like maybe 2 weeks before I kind of patched it up, made some changes, got the glass taken out. My girlfriend actually helped me. I got to get it for credit, put it up in there. And I want to get more stuff along the sides. But, you know, I give a lot of credit to people that have cool backdrops because it does make it a little bit better. And we've come a long way from all of us doing the green screens. And now we get a little bit more personal. And I got to give you some credit because me and Prez were talking about this the other day about people that have the books. Because it's like, you know, when you have a book background, everyone just wants to know what books they are. Everyone's like, it's so important. You got to pick out which. Yeah.
I find that out too. Maybe I need to just pull them out and rotate them and put something facing the front sometimes. But yeah, I've read them all. I don't remember a lot of them, but it's over the years. But I used to have when I lived what I call in my big house. When I was in that part of my life where, hey, you wanted to show off and you had the nicest cars and the whole bit, I had stuff up on every room in the house. I had a home theater. I had my big office. Jerseys, framed jerseys all over the place. Now, as I get older, that stuff doesn't matter as much. So, yeah, trying to save more money for retirement, which hopefully will be coming up pretty soon. But hey, we could do our jobs on the beach anywhere, you know, as long as we got a computer.
Yes, that is for sure. You're saving for retirement. I'm saving for a house. Tired of renting, but right now, it's that age-old debate right now. What's more worth it? But it is nice to get a property down. A lot of people in the chat right now. We've got Lex with us. We've got DGen, TZ's with us. Goose is with us. Nebraska's with us. MM is with us. A. Johnson with us. Steven Rogers. Steven says, I was sweating that 5% Carmine had last night. Glad it came through. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. The only time the Dallas Stars led the whole game is when they eventually won it. And what a win for them, 3-2 for the Dallas Stars. So congrats to Carmine. It's not about how you win, it's if you win. And they got the job done. So, Brian, let's get through one game here, and then we'll do some open discussion. I know you had something that you wanted to mention with me, and I always want to talk with you about some strategy as well. So let's take a look at this New York Rangers game here, taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think it's fair to say earlier in the season, there were two Florida-based teams that weren't doing so well. Well, now we can really only say it's one Florida-based team that's not doing so well because the Tampa Bay Lightning went on a little bit of a streak. I have not pulled trigger on this game yet, and I feel like I've lost a ton of value on it on my show last night, the pre-scout, which I do have to get you on. I did talk about liking the Rangers here. One thing that I mentioned is that sometimes you can build momentum as a team, even if you defeat a not so great team. And the number of minus 157 open, Pinnacle now showing 136. Do you agree with me that even if the Predators aren't a great team, the Rangers could maybe build some momentum off that victory over the Preds?
Any victory at this time, especially home victory for the Rangers, is something you can build on. It's that Carmine, I believe, had a play on the Rangers. Just from memory, Maybe it was just on the show here, but it was a situation where the Rangers had not been scoring at home. And I used a free play against them, actually. I couldn't trust that line the way they've been playing, but hey, they played very well. They took it into account that they needed to get going. And a lot of times, you get it in your head, and I'm sure the Rangers had it in their head, like, gee, what the hell's going on here? And for them to come out and get that little monkey off their back, a lot of people have said that they've been a little bit down this year, but they played 8 games at home, 9 games on the road, and they're -2 in scoring differential on the season. That tells me they're an average team, and they may be a little bit better than an average team overall, but they haven't played well, and they're still not that far behind. Like I said, only -2 on the season. And when you're looking at Tampa's a team that's +5 on goals on the season, 7 home games, 8 on the road. If they play more road games than home and you've got a plus goal differential, that means you're a pretty good team. And we saw how they really struggled out of the gate earlier this year. So they are playing very well right now. And the thing you got to point out about the Rangers, they have not only been great this year on the road. I believe they're 7-1-1 on the road. They've got a 12 goal differential. Since the 21-22 season on the road, the Rangers lead the NHL in points at 221 points and tied with the Wings at 101. So them playing well on the road is not something that's a surprise this year. This is one of the best road teams in football in hockey. And we know all about good road teams in football all the time. They talk about them. Certain teams are very good on the road. I don't think the Rangers get enough credit for how they play on the road here. The line right now, we can get basically anywhere from like 118 to 123 on the Rangers. Not enough for me to make it a selection, but I would have to think that's a pretty good payback. I mean, Tampa Bay's very good. When they played the Knights the other day, just the sharpness of their passes, the accuracy of their passes, when they're on, they are on, and they're very good. And this is a very strong home ice advantage. But as you mentioned, the line has come down a little bit on the dog. So I still like the Rangers a little bit. Probably won't get there for clients.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the stuff you just said there, Brian. I agree with a lot of the stuff. And TJ says, I'm going to paraphrase here because he gave both these goaltenders some nicknames, we'll call it. But he says pretty much, remember the days when Vasilevsky and Shesterkin were dead unders. And yeah, that's true. Both those goalies haven't had the best seasons by any means here. But looking at the analytics for these teams, last 10 games, all situations, they both fall in the top 10 as far as expected goals against positively. The Rangers 7th, Lightning 2nd, according to my numbers. So, we can talk about offensive numbers all day long with this Rangers team, but specifically their defense has improved. Couldn't agree more with what you said there about them as a road team. At least the joke, like, that can finally be out of play. I mean, I guess they kind of have to follow it up, Ryan. It can't be just one win at MSG. The joke will still be there. What's crazy is it's not even that bad that they hadn't won a game at MSG. It was more so that they had gotten shut out that many times, and it was only like November. It's not like it was like, oh, this team through 4 months of the year has been that. I bet you a lot of teams won't be shut out that much at home all season long. So having said that, though, I kind of lean towards the under based on what the analytics are telling me, but I do think if it goes towards an under, I would look towards this Rangers team. And do you think, Brian, like because you see that people talk about this all the time on social media, and you've been doing this a long time, and the line is what it is right now, right? And you and I can look at what it was last night, and that's one of the reasons why I started doing my show. Sure, if I have packages, I'm going to promote them, but a lot of times I'm talking about a few games that I like. And I think that when you look at this Lightning team here, besides their game against the Avalanche, which they still kept it within 1, could we maybe argue that life has been very, very good for them recently? And the Rangers, maybe it could be the hungrier team going into this matchup. But have we lost value, I guess is what I'm trying to say to you. Or is that just how the game goes?
Yeah, at least for me, I have at night certain games I'm looking to put out. Most of the time I don't, unless it's like a 5 that I know I need to grab this line as soon as possible. I like to wait because when in the morning the lines go up, so you got a chance to get more money on it. So I've got guys. I'm sure you've got guys that follow you that bet pretty sizable, and I'm the same way. So if I give something out, we can all have a better record, like in baseball. You see it all the time. That's one of the advantages that Tokyo Brandon has is his day is different than ours. So he puts it up at his normal time, but that's early for us. But he only has the overnight lines, so he gets better numbers. And a lot of times you play props, you got to get in, those numbers as soon as possible, or they're never going to be there. So that's an advantage to his guys that can do that, but it's also a disadvantage for guys who can't really bet until later on in the day. So I try to, as the day goes on, there's certain games where I think, yes, that has hit I call it a strike point. Mm-hmm. That has hit my strike point. I can give that out now, or I could bet that right now. So I like to save everything until the morning, but unless it's something that I think is really going to move, I don't put anything out until the morning.
Yeah, I'm similar to that. One thing I will say is that people tell us that in the NHL, market movers don't matter. Like I've heard so many analysts and radio hosts go on and on about how odds makers don't care about NHL money. But there are still some books that you and I can look at, Brian, and respect more than others, right? And the best part about odds logic, which you and I both really like, and everybody at WagerTalk can promote, you can structure the books in the order that you would like them to be. So, if you don't have access to Caesars, then there's no point in you having Caesars in the front and center, or whatever it might be, not to call them out or whoever. Pinnacle, some people can't. I can use Pinnacle. A lot of people can't use Pinnacle. But sometimes my point is here, I like using sometimes references that I've seen overnight. Like, for example, I like looking at overnight flips. So some people say, oh, well, you're betting that team now. You could have got them at a better number yesterday. This is sometimes an example where I'm respecting the market, and I'm saying, hey, what's the deal here? This team was 120 now. We got the other team minus 115. What's going on here with that? Mm-hmm. And kind of like similar to the Habs game yesterday, like when I was handicapping that game on Monday night, I said to my audience on my night show, very curious to see what happens overnight here with this one. And to the shock of nobody, we saw really no movement on Montreal. And that was a little bit worrisome for me. So it sounds like you and I are on the same page, kind of lean towards this Rangers side in this one. I think also this one could be a game that maybe starts off more lower scoring and then starts to blow up a little bit after. We'll see when it comes to that. So I like this one here. Nice to see a pick in your cell room. Yeah, exactly. We're out of the jail cell. We got some artwork. Somebody shipped me some artwork here in the jail cell. Brian, you had a topic you wanted to talk about today. Anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I do. But first, I wanted to point out you were mentioning the line service. Living in Las Vegas, I've got all the line services are here for Vegas. I would recommend, even if you don't have Circa or maybe South Point or the Westgate, to get them just for Golden Knights games, because most of the locals are going to play the Golden Knights. Those are local sports books here in Vegas. There's obviously, they've got a couple outside of Vegas, but you're going to get a feeling on what the bookmakers think about those games, because they know they're going to take money in on Vegas. And if you see the Vegas lines lower on the home team than other places, that tells you the local lines makers think that the other team has a pretty good advantage there. But the one thing I want to talk about, we're now anywhere from 15 to 20 games into the season, and I have my preseason work done, as you have, and I've got, I go through all the sports books that I trust, and I get their season win numbers, and I read them all down, and I do my power ratings based on that. For example, on today's card, we'll just look at the Edmonton game. And coming into the season, Edmonton was expected to be 25.5 points better than Chicago. If you have watched these two teams play, is Edmonton even better than Chicago? So my question to you is, how long does it take into the season for you to throw away your priors before you get into it? I have had a lot of success throwing away my priors earlier this season because I have been on a lot of these teams that have been, San Jose, Chicago, Montreal, a lot of these teams that were more of an afterthought coming into the season, but like the Penguins. And I've made a lot of success on these teams by doing that. Is it time to throw away all of your preseason thoughts, or do you still need to keep that into account when you're doing your handicapping?
I think that maybe this time is the time to do it, Brian. At this point, we've seen enough a little bit here, but I'll be the first one to tell you that. And I'm going to give him credit. I was talking to Ronald Kabang. I'm UCAP. I'm not sure if he's watching this right now, but I would say there's pros and cons to hockey being my favorite sport. And I'm going to be fully transparent with you here, Brian. Like when I started handicapping the KBO, the Korean baseball with Dave Koken. Now I'll forever remember that. That was so much fun to do with him. It was an honor. Everybody in the world was all of a sudden a KBO handicapper, right? Like, and the thing is, he and I were actually putting in the work and putting our faces on video. Like we couldn't hide from it. I wasn't just, closing my eyes and putting out a pick. But where I'm going with this is like, I had no biases. Like 10 weeks, and I'm not lying, 10 weeks before, I didn't even know who the best pitcher in the league was, right? So one thing that was kind of nice going into that handicap with that sport was like, I was strictly data driven. Like, okay, this pitcher's not doing well. This team's metrics offensively are going well. This is a bad situational spot, whatever. Now, if somebody is looking at, this NHL season, that's not as much of a hockey guy, that doesn't really get caught up. Like I hated the Bruins going into this year. I thought the Penguins were going to be trading off pieces at the trade deadline, right? But look at this Bruins team. Look what they're doing, right? So, but I think that at the same time, Brian, we're at that point in time now where some of those teams that are overachieving might start to be humbled a little bit. I guess my answer is like, I necessarily don't want to bet on them anymore, but I'm not going to bet against them as much anymore with some of these teams. Like, look at the Anaheim Ducks. I don't know what the splits are, but I can probably tell you there were a lot of people that liked the Ducks last night because why not? Value, they've been looking good. You look at the two divisions, and this is kind of what I was talking about when you talk about looking at the odds pages, and bookmakers aren't stupid. Right. And they're in business. The casinos look pretty awesome for a reason. Right. And so when you look at the odds last night for the Colorado and Anaheim game, and then you look at the result of the game, I guess the bookmakers might have been right to price that the way it was. But if you ask everybody in our live chat yesterday, no offense to everybody that watched, everybody said that Anaheim had to be the play because of the value. Right. So I think that in long-winded terms, Brian, I've struggled with not changing my mind fast enough with some of these teams because I'm so, I guess, confident in my preseason projections. But then once I do find those spots to bet on them, then you can make some money. Do you find though right now, Brian, that we've lost value on some of those teams? Like look at San Jose, look at Chicago. Like, is it almost too late to bet on those teams?
Yeah. The good thing is in hockey is it changes all the time. We're only 15 to 20 games in. The next 15, 20 games could be total opposite. You mentioned the Florida Panthers. Florida's got so many injuries right now. I'm amazed at how well they're playing, actually, to be where they are, considering all the injuries they've had. So, yeah, it's funny because I never handicapped hockey. I loved going to hockey games when I was younger, but I grew up in Cleveland. We didn't have a whole lot. And that's once Vegas got a team, I said, I got to start handicapping hockey. So I came in. I didn't have the advantages that you guys, being Canadian especially, followed hockey since you were born. So I didn't have those ideas in my head. And knock on wood, I've had a lot of success because of that. I don't have the preconceived ideas. And I think that is something that it really is a detriment. And depending, you guys know all the players, you know how to pronounce the names other than Carmine. But it's it's a situation where you're very familiar with the history. You guys throw in. I say, oh, I remember that guy. I remember that. You guys have so much more knowledge on it than I do. But because a lot of people, when they're handicapping, like especially in the NFL, I think we can all agree the NFL is the hardest sport to beat. And it's because everybody knows everything about the NFL. And so, and we've followed these teams our entire life, and it's hard to get the past out of there and say, okay, well, this is a different team this year. That you've got a lot of injuries, you got to figure it out. But yeah, that's one of the joys of handicapping. Every night, especially in hockey and baseball, any night, one team could beat another team. You mentioned the Anaheim game. If you chart it, like I chart the way the numbers go all day long, even though everybody I know liked Anaheim, more money came in on Colorado as the day went on. So that line kept getting higher and higher. And that tells you the guys that are betting big bucks are opposite that. And it's interesting how that works sometimes.
It really is. And I'll just close with this. And I brought up Ronald because he's doing well with the NHL and he's data driven. And what you talked about with knowing the players' names. Look, Brian, I would love to do MLB content with you next year. I can't do what you and Adam and Tokyo Brandon do. I can't rattle off the names, but nobody really knew that for most of the year I was number 4 at the whole website in baseball, right? Good. Because I probably, besides the Blue Jays roster, I'm not giving you more than 30 names, like 30, 40 names, right? Like that's just is what it is. But I'm data driven. It's pure numbers. I have my websites that I use and I've done well with it. Nobody would know because I'm not on video camera talking to, and that's kind of a shame a little bit, but that's how it works. But hey, just because I know the 4th line guy on the Utah Mammoth doesn't mean that I know hockey, but let's hope it can help me out a little bit here. So one quick thing here. Where was the comment? IceX. I like this comment from IceX. Wait for their first loss after a winning streak and then see what happens afterwards. It's kind of a good call. And that's kind of what happened with Pittsburgh. Except for Brian was the man, and he still had a 5% on Pittsburgh, and then they lost every other game after that. So you love to see it. All right, Brian, we got to keep this show moving, but I love those discussions with you always. The next game on tap here, Edmonton and Philly. We don't give Prez credit a lot. I feel like just stopping there, but I got to give Prez credit for one thing.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. But one thing that Prez says is that, betting on a team the next game after they win a game where they might not have deserved to win. And he's gotten that from people he's spoken to, but we can kind of use that with Edmonton. Like, man, they have looked like shit lately. They've looked awful. And then they beat Columbus in a game in which they got a shorthanded goal. They got a power play. They won in overtime. Like, it took every single inch of them to end up winning that game. But Brian, as we always know, the W is what matters. Now they go into Philadelphia. Carmine told a funny joke about his friend with the first name Mo and last name Mentum. And I think that momentum's got to be in the building tonight for the Oilers. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. What do you think? Are you buying it, or are you not believing what the Oilers did the last game is going to affect this one?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Oilers have disappointed me pretty much all season long. If you take a look at their numbers, as good as this team is, and we saw the same thing last year, didn't we? Edmonton started slowly, and then they got hot, and they started playing well, and then they went all the way to the championship game. Right now, they've got a 9-goal differential in goal scoring this year. They played 8 home games, 9 on the road. That's not enough to be an average team. And if you take a look at their last 10 games, 4-3-3. That means they've lost 6 out of the last 10. So it's still not a team I'm looking to back in this point range, at least. In Philadelphia, they're +4 on the season, but they have played 10 home games and only 5 on the road. So you've got to give that a little bit of a look. And you're looking at the schedule for this game. We've got Edmonton has lost 3 of 4, and that game against Colorado, I really expected them to come out and dominate that game because they had just gotten beat by Colorado at home 9-1. Now if that's not going to wake you up and make you come out and play hard, and they had the day off between, and then they had to go to overtime. That comeback against Columbus, and it was Columbus's, if I remember right, it was the last day of their road trip. Now, granted, it wasn't a good road trip. They had not played well, but usually if you got a team that has been bad on the road trip and it's their last road trip game, yeah, kind of could see them looking forward to coming back home. So I know I'm not giving Edmonton a lot of success there, a lot of credit for that. And got Philadelphia, and Philadelphia has been a pretty big surprise for most of the season, but they've had a lot of success at home. But they've lost 3 straight games at home, and 2 of those were in regulation. Now they've got 3 days off before playing the Oilers here, and then they got to go on the road and play on Friday and Saturday at St. Louis and Dallas. I like the situation here for the home team in Philadelphia, and the way that Edmonton has been playing all season long. I just can't trust them here. I like Philadelphia in this spot. You're only getting about anywhere from plus 112 to plus 119, but still, the way Philadelphia has played at home on the season, losing 3 straight at home, having this amount of time off, I expect a really good effort out of Philadelphia. And I was disappointed with that effort out of Edmonton, even in a victory over Columbus last time out.
Yeah, that is something to be concerned about, is the rest here. For anybody like me that kind of leans towards the Oilers side, is that you're right. Philadelphia, and any game preview or breakdown going into this game will tell you that the rest is kind of an advantage here. I always find Wednesday is kind of an interesting night in the NHL. Mm-hmm. We all know that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays are the busy days in the NHL typically. But if you haven't played a game since, let's say, maybe Saturday or even Sunday, and then your first game is Wednesday, you typically are playing a team that's already played a game on Monday or Tuesday, which can make a little bit of a difference. And of course, that's the case for a team like Philadelphia tonight. So interesting to look at. I just kind of, I love the idea behind the fact that Edmonton really didn't deserve it, but there were a lot of positive quotes. I'm not a huge quotes handicapper, but there were a lot of positive quotes in that locker room. And I kind of like it. Like, I kind of like how they didn't say, we didn't deserve it. We didn't deserve it, whatever. They were just like, all right, let's go. Let's get this thing going. So we'll see. One thing about this is that Philadelphia versus Edmonton, when you look at it offensively on paper, I think that if they roll the pucks out and say first to 4 or 5 wins, Edmonton takes it, because Philadelphia expected goals, they're bottom 10 consistently. Shooting percentage is not good either. So maybe the rest will help them. We had a comment in here. I'm not sure if I can find it. We'll see if I can find it. MM says the under in Philly Edmonton is the best deal he's seen all week. All right. He likes the under in this one. Maybe the rest factor, Brian, plays into it. Maybe the rest factor could help the under, because a lot of times I talk about fatigue leading to overs. I know you're more of a sides guy, but what do you think here? Does the rest factor help the under here?
Well, if you do like it, you want to grab that 6 now, because I'm seeing some 5.5s pop up. So to keep people who are betting early, which are usually guys that bet for a living, they tend to like that under as well. And what you were talking about, teams having the time off. If a team is on a winning streak and they have the time off, I think that's a negative, because you know how it is. I mean, we've all been in high school. Your team wins, everybody's patting you on the back all season long and or all week long, and then you go to the next game, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You don't have that same fire. But if you've lost and you've got 3 days off, Philadelphia sports, it isn't New York, but I'm sure they're giving this team some hell. And so I know the Flyers are going to come out with a good effort. And like you said, they don't put a lot of shots on goal. So maybe the Flyers think they need to win this in a low-scoring game. The under makes sense to me.
And then we got a comment from IceX. I always love it. Can one trust Skinner or Pickard? And then the next comment immediately was to lose. Yes, we can trust them to lose. So, or to give you negative fantasy points. Yes. So that is the tough thing about looking at those teams or those goalies, is that you never really know what you're going to get. Look, I'm going to die on the hill though. They're not going to win a cup with either of those goalies, but I also think that it's not their fault that they haven't won a Stanley Cup either.
Yeah.
Whether it's been defensemen or help on the offensive side of things, it's not necessarily their help. That's not why they lost, I think, to the Panthers last year. It's not.
It's interesting because everybody blames it all on the goalies all the time. How many goalies have the Oilers been through during this run where they've had McDavid? It's not the goalies, it's the guys playing defense, and they're not putting themselves in good positions. And when you don't put yourselves in good positions, you're leaving your goalie out to dry. And so that's why I saw a little documentary on one of the Golden Knights ex-goalies, and every year it's different. Every team you get traded from one team to another. You're terrible at this team. All of a sudden, you're great at the next team. It's all comes down to the defense, which is one of the reasons why I don't, other than the elite goalies, I don't give a lot of credit to that. They're all, any single game, you can have a guy come out there with a terrible goals against average and you throw a shutout. It's just the way it is. It all depends on how your team protects you. And the teams with the young goalies and those kind of players, they've got to get back on defense. Don't worry so much about offense. You've got to stop defensively. And until you have that ability, you're not a complete team.
I think you might find it funny that I'm somehow going to relate this back to the Toronto Blue Jays, but I'm the one that was the most pissed. Not only it was 1 solo home run, 2 solo home runs, 3 solo home runs, but when I look back to it, how many runners did they have in scoring position in Game 6 and Game 7? Right? David Schneider was on national TV in Canada just a couple days ago, and he said, "Did the better team not win the series?" And he said, "No. If we were the better team, we would have won the series." And everyone obviously is going to respect his maturity and the classiness of it. At the end of the day, though, they had so many runners on base, Brian. Yeah, does it suck that Hoffman gave up that home run? Does it suck that, you saw Savage come in and Bieber come in? Of course it does. But the offense didn't show up when they needed it to. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. So you need those guys to show up. Before we get to the last game here, Brian, you've had success lately with your 5% plays. Carmine cashed his 5% play last night. I do have a 5% play going tonight. Everyone looks at Wednesday as kind of a quieter night in the NHL, right? And you think of those busy days, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Sometimes I almost find it nice because you got a handful of games to break down, usually less than 5 or 6 games. You get to dive deep into those games particularly, and I love this situational spot. This is kind of a situational play for me, and I really love this one on Wednesday. So I'm going to encourage people to go grab that. I feel like it's been a good couple days here for me in the NHL. Started off hot. We hit a wall. We went into a slump, and now I'm starting to see the board very, very well. But we have this special running right now here, Brian, and it's available for yourself, available for Carmine, for anybody at WagerTalk.com. 10 days of picks for less than $10 per day. You guys can go to my page right now, and you can get my 5% NHL big bet for $35. But look, I would love for anyone to do that, but for $99, you're going to get every single play I release across multiple sports for less than $10 a day. And I'm on an 11-2 NFL player prop run. We've cashed back-to-back college basketball team total plays. This is an opportunity to get more than one sport. This is an opportunity to get more than one 5% play. I got the CFL Grey Cup on Sunday night. I know there's only a handful of you out there that will be watching that game, but I got a best bet planned in that game, and it's always a good game, Brian. And based on the last couple primetime games we've seen in everybody's beloved NFL, maybe you guys should start watching the CFL a little bit because we don't see 0-0 games at halftime by any means, and we see a little bit more action. So, guys, 5% play tonight. Looking forward to it in the NHL. Make sure you go grab that. If you don't want to grab that play, really good idea to buy that. And of course, for some reason, I have Bill Krakenberger's promo up here. But it applies for me as well. I guess I downloaded the wrong one, so shout out to Bill. But you guys can go to my page, wt.buzz/am. Brian, I'm out here. I don't think Bill needs me to promote him. All the respect to Bill. Yeah. But I don't think that guy needs me. So I'm just going to pull that up. What? It's still there again. I'm giving Bill all the love. Anyway, wt.buzz/am. That's my profile page. I got a 5% play going tonight.
Bill's in the back end. That's why he's getting the sales. He continues to promote himself. No, I know Bill. He's a great guy. I've known him for many years, and all success to him. But yeah, he's on every show out there. I'm surprised he's not on the hockey. He even makes an appearance on the hockey show. He doesn't even handicap hockey. But talking about being hot, yesterday I did the show, And my play was Washington in the first period, and they win that 1-0. I saw Marco, who's having a really nice hockey season. He used Washington as a free play yesterday, and they win the game straight up. I also had a 4% play on Winnipeg yesterday, so that won, and that brings my NHL record to 7-1 the last 8. My 3% and higher in every sport are on a 13-3 run, and so we won that again yesterday. College football 28-13 run, and I've really dominated the MAC over the years. I went to Akron University. I know the MAC like the back of my hand. Swept the MAC the last 2 weeks in these midweek games. Yesterday's games, I did not find any edges in, but I am going to have a play on tonight. And so that 90, I think it's 99 for 7 days or something to that effect, or 10 days, 99 for 10 days. That is a great deal. And right now I'm hot as hell. And even in the NBA, I haven't put out many plays going back to last year, 12-6 in the NBA. So I've been very selective on my selection on my plays, but we've had a lot of success doing it. And I know I'm going to have at least 2 plays going today. I'm not going to have a 5%. I'm very tight with those 5%ers, but I'm sure I'll have a couple in the next 10 days. So that's a really good deal if you're looking to do that, whether you buy any of our handicappers. It's a way to go. And if you've got a 5 in the NHL, I'm going to talk to you after the show, make sure, see what you got, because I'd like to get a little piece of that.
Well, stay hot, Brian. You're seeing the board very well. That Winnipeg call was great last night. I liked that play as well. I was close to getting to the window on that one. And Washington, way to catch Carol. I wanted to ask you today, because I know we're long past that game, but do you kind of think that for similar reasons to liking the Rangers is kind of similar to liking the Capitals last night? I feel like the handicap is very similar.
It is a little bit similar. Carolina had been a team, comes back from a successful road trip. They were okay in the road trip, and then they come back home and they've been very successful at home. They got a team coming in Washington. They look at Washington and go, oh, this team continues to blow leads. They're not any good. Washington was the team that out-hustled them yesterday, and that's really what you want. If you follow a team, and I know you do this with Montreal, I do it with Vegas, I can tell by the hustle that they're playing if they're going to be in that game or if they just don't have it early. Another reason is why we love betting live hockey, live sports, like baseball, football. That's really the way it's going. Even though in the United States and Canada, especially in the United States, there's a lot more pregame action. If you go to Europe, especially with the soccer, everybody's betting in-game. It's like 70% of their bets are in-game. In the United States, 70% of the bets are pregame. Yeah. So we're the United States, like in many reasons, are a little bit behind the times in this country.
Yeah, the amount of in-game bets that we see, it's just growing and growing more and more. Mm-hmm. Also, those parlays and all that good stuff as well. Bruce, I got to mention to you, I'm one of the original Ice guys. I was on that show as well. I was with them, and we have no competition with any NHL betting show. We love everybody else that's handicapping. We're friends with them. Alex used to be a part of PuckTime, actually. So, hey, we've got no competition. We want everybody to win. We want everybody to win. And, Brian, I got to do this to you. I hate to pull the prez here and keep promoting, but there it is. Just so you guys know, it's applicable for myself as well. And you can get it at Brian's page as well. WT.buzz/BL for Brian and /AM for me. All right, last game of the night here. Chicago. This team's looked pretty good in their last couple games here. But is it a tough situation for them in this particular game? Devils off a loss, but it was a tight loss against the Islanders. What do you think here, Brian, about this one? Is Chicago the real deal? We talked about the concept of, hey, is this team good? Are they not good? So, hey, what's your take on Chicago? Are they pretenders or are they contenders?
Well, I talked about Edmonton earlier being at 25.5 more points expected on the season. And this one is 21 for New Jersey, 21 points better than Chicago. And if you take a look at what New Jersey's done, they've had a very successful season. They've got the most points in the Eastern Conference right now. But as opposed to Carolina, who has a plus 14 goal differential, the Devils were only plus 7. They played 8 games at home. They've been fantastic at home. 7-0-1, have yet to lose in regulation at home. They're only 4-4 on the road. If you take a look at their last 10 games overall, 6-4. I always count the loss in overtime as a loss because I don't. It is a loss when you're looking about it in that range. So they come in here and New Jersey, from a schedule standpoint, they have won 2 out of the last 3, but they did lose last time out to the Islanders at home, and that game went to overtime. And in fact, if you take a look at what they did at home, yeah, they beat Pittsburgh, but they had to do it in a shootout. They win that game 2-1. And your Montreal Canadiens, and I believe I was on Montreal. If I remember correctly, I might have been on Montreal in that game. But they had to go to overtime to beat Montreal. So yes, they have done very well at home this year, but that tells me they haven't been playing that well. They were able to beat the Kings in the previous road trip, but then they lost second to back-to-back to Anaheim, and Anaheim's got a lot of good, young, fast players. And anytime Anaheim is going to play a team in the second of a back-to-back, I think you could make money by betting on Anaheim just blindly in that regard. But when you take a look at Chicago on the season, and you just look at the numbers, you take away the names on the jerseys, like as I mentioned, the Devils are +7, 8 home games, 8 road games. Look at Chicago on the season. Chicago on the year, they only have 19 points compared to the 23 that the Devils have. But if you take a look at their goal differential, they're +12 on the season, and yet they've only played 6 games at home, 10 on the road. That tells me that this team is legit, at least right now. And if you take a look at their schedule, they are off of 3 straight wins, all on the road, and it's their first game back. So I like Chicago. I hate the situation here for Chicago because they come back from that road trip. I believe they went 3-3, but they won the last 3. They beat Vancouver, they beat Calgary, they beat Detroit, all by multiple goals, 3, 4, and 4. Now they're at home, where traditionally, if you've watched them the last few years with this young team, they play much better at home than they do on the road. They may be a little bit full of themselves, and that's going to keep me away from Chicago in this game. But this Blackhawks team has been very good, and we'll see if I'm kind of hoping that New Jersey blows them out tonight so we can continue to get better value on Chicago, because I want to be part of this team. It's going to be a while until they're going to be a favorite against some of these teams. And but I hate the situation tonight.
Yeah, this is one of those ones here, Brian, where I think like if both teams were like well rested, neutral site, you're getting a price that's pretty reasonable. Everybody would want to be all over Chicago here, but situationally, you kind of look at it, you're like, okay, what's going on here? I'll tell you what, I think I like the over in this game, though. I think that, Chicago, they have been, how do I say it, like falsely good defensively lately. I guess I don't know if that's a good way of putting it. They have been like undeniably, I guess, better defensively than they probably should be over their last couple of games. And I know that you and I said earlier in the show, a win is a win, but you also have to look at who a win is over for a certain team. In Chicago, hey, good for them. You put up some goals on this team and on that team. I think everybody's scoring goals on a team like the Predators right now and certain opportunities to play certain lighter teams like Vancouver. So we'll see. But I do like the over, back off a road trip. Chicago's going to contribute to the scoring in this one, but Devils are going to be motivated as well. Devils are mostly a team that I want to look towards at home because of the last change. They're great center depth, but Carmine talked last year about how this was actually not a bad road team whatsoever. This is a pretty good road team as well. So that will be it for the show here, Brian. We'll circle back to you for some final thoughts. I want to mention, guys, I got a parlay. I'm waiting for my graphic to be created here. I got to have that done here soon for you. The same game parlay or the prop parlay is coming out to plus 917 for tonight. Sometimes they're like plus 300. Sometimes they're plus 500, whatever they might be. And we always want you guys just to have a little sprinkle on it. I got a few shots on goal and a few points in this one. It's involving 2 games, 3 picks from one, 2 from the other. And yes, this is a recreational. This is a fun thing to follow each night. This isn't a regular size bet by any means, but you guys can follow me at McInnis Picks, at MCINNIS Picks. Brian, I do believe yours is B Leonard Sports. Is that correct?
B Leonard Sports. And I do want to point out, I don't do the props. If I find something, I'll put it up, but that's not my major handicapping. Why change what's worked well over the years? But I will say that if you're handicapping the card today and you're here watching this, and I asked Andrew, about how you treat, how many games into the season do you take a look at dropping off the preseason expectations. If you go into the YouTube situation for the replay, let us know. Let us know what your number is that you look, or if you don't even pay attention to it, or if when the season starts, that's it. I wait and see, because I know Marco does a lot of that. He waits time. He doesn't get into action early on, and he just sees how the teams are playing this year. Let us know what you the way you treat those, and maybe we can learn something from you guys, because we got a really smart group of people that watch the show every day.
It's awesome because everybody approaches it differently. Yeah. That's the best part. But Carm and I have talked about it. I like the word he used, landmine. Like, you know, there's all these landmines earlier in the season you got to be aware of. I always say the best time to bet the NHL is January. I feel like you have a very true identity about which each team is or what they are, probably post-Christmas. And this year is going to be very interesting because it's going to be an Olympic break, Brian, which kind of sucks for us on PuckTime. We'll see if I end up doing any hockey content for the Olympics, but Olympic break, we'll see how that goes and which teams get affected by that. But guys, Brian's been red hot. Make sure you get his plays, WT.buzz/BL. And also that deal is great for both of us. Get 10 days of plays for less than $10 a day. Works for both of our packages. And we're both doing multiple sports, not just hockey. So that will do it, guys. 5% play for me tonight. I know it's a small board, but I really do like it. Thanks as always for joining me here, Brian. And guys, special shout out again to Carmine. Carmine cashing that 5% play. He is in the chat right now, and he's telling you guys to hit the like button. So, hey, if you're going to take one piece of advice from Carmine today, that's the advice you got to take. Hit that like button. Show some love. Right. Yeah, come on. Especially off that 5% win. We appreciate it. And guys, show us some love. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time right here on PuckTime.